Basically, all of the suffering that you could possibly experience as a human being boils down to these two brain systems, the reticular activating system and the default mode network. I strongly believe that if you do not understand the way your brain and body works, then you will suffer at the hands of them. Like, this is true for almost any system. Like, if you are trying to win like a boat race, the person that understands how the boat operates, how to use it, how to steer it, all that will do 10 times better than the person that doesn't know how any of it operates. It's pretty common sense stuff. Now, why don't most humans apply this to themselves beyond the extent of, the necessary things? But I'm here today to teach you how you can learn how these two work and start using them as leverage for yourself instead of getting self-sabotaged over and over and over again. Because a lot of people don't know how their brains work, and as a result, they're just cooking themselves over and over and over again. I see it all the time. So you might be asking, why these two brain systems, Hayden? Why did you choose just two? And I chose just two because these two are so damn important to understand that once you understand how they work, you're gonna be on top of the game, essentially. So enough yapping. How do these work? Well, the reticular activating system gives you a sense of perceived reality. And your brain needs this system because there's so much sensory information coming into the body and the nervous system all at once. And it needs a system that can automatically filter things out that it doesn't need to see and present you the things that you mark as important. And then that's where the default mode network comes in. And your default mode network is your ego. Your ego is who you believe yourself to be, your identity, your beliefs, the story you tell yourself. And it's called the default mode network because it is your default mode of thinking. It's how your brain runs. It's the neural networks that continuously get activated every single day. That's the default mode network. And the reticular activating system is directly listening to the ego all the time. It's constantly just listening for subconscious beliefs, identities, attachments, just things like that. And it uses this information blindly, completely blindly. It's not working for you. It's just doing its job. And then it filters out all the things that the ego doesn't mark as important. This is why if you buy a car, you start seeing that same car everywhere on the road because your ego has now marked it as important, and now your reticular activating system is filtering for that car. And this can be extrapolated to almost everything about your life. I'm going to get more into that in a second, but I just really want you to drill into your head that the things you tell yourself, the story you give yourself in your life directly influences what your brain looks for. If I identify as being a person that sucks at studying or doesn't study, then guess what? My brain is going to look for reasons for this belief and identity to be true. You are a self-fulfilling prophecy. If I believe that to be true, that I'm not good at studying or paying attention or focusing, then my brain is going to look for all the reasons for that to be true, and then I'm going to go like, oh, well, I guess it's true. And this is why so many people just constantly like nerf themselves, because they're just blindly listening to what their ego believes about themselves and the world, when in reality, everyone has as equal potential to each other, unless you're born with some like defect, and obviously that's just unfortunate. But generally speaking, everyone can do similar things. The only thing limiting yourself is yourself. So there you go. And you might be asking, Hayden, how do I use this information accordingly? Now, bear with me here, but this stuff works, okay? For most of my life, I didn't believe that there was any point to affirmations. I heard a lot of people, talking about them, like on the internet and such, but I didn't see an actual reason why I should be doing them until I started learning about the reticular activating system. So affirmations are conscious interventions of your identity so that you can create new neural networks in your brain for a new identity for you to then step into and actually become. Affirmations just make it a lot easier for you to rewrite your identity. So what is an affirmation? Like in literal terms, it's literally just you repeating a single phrase or multiple phrases that categorize you as some kind of person. Like it could be something like, I'm the type of person that stands up for myself, or I'm the type of person that chooses to pay attention in class, or I'm the type of person that gets my shit done. All of these things are going to have an effect because your brain runs very subconsciously, and your subconscious mind is like a blind intelligence. It doesn't really understand things the same way that the conscious mind does. It just replays information that's fed to it, and that's it. So if you repeat affirmations over and over again, it's going to drill it into your subconscious very slowly. You only need to do this like 5 minutes a day. Like it does not need that much attention, in my opinion. Once you drill a targeted identity that you want to like change, then it's going to start to change your ego and then change your perceived reality. And a very good example of this is like, let's say I'm the kind of person that likes to take the easy way out of things. Like if let's say usually I'm not the kind of person, this is an example, usually I'm not the kind of person to, look for business opportunities. How about that? I'm not the type of person to look for business opportunities. If I want to become a person that starts looking for business opportunities, then I'm going to tell myself that I am that person through affirmations. And then guess what? During the day, my brain will be like 10 times more likely to look for business opportunities. A way this took place in my life, I literally used a similar thing. I know I live in a rich neighborhood. I wanted to start talking to more people in my community so that I could get more connections and opportunities like within the business world. And immediately like my brain started presenting me with like, yo, you should talk to this person that's sitting right next to you in the sauna and maybe like ask about their career or something. And before I started doing affirmations, there's no way my brain would have presented that to me unless I prompted it with a reason why. And especially if your brain ties dopamine to the task, then it's going to be like 10 times more likely to actually like change its own identity so that it can get something externally. If you tie a reward to the act of changing your identity, then your brain's going to be 10 times more likely to actually do it. And now another reason why a lot of people suffer at the hands of the reticular activating system and the default mode network, because of the story that your default mode network is telling you about, how things are going in your life or how abundant you are or whatnot. So let me explain like a quick concept for you to understand so that this makes more sense for you. So if you, for example, have an ego that's telling you something along the lines of, oh, well, I don't have many friends right now, or I don't have much going for me in my life, by allowing your ego to say these things about your given situation or your given reality, you are literally pouring energy into scarcity. And your reticular activating system is just interpreting that as, okay, let's look for more of what he's already looking for, which is scarcity, because you're literally feeding mental energy to your scarcity, as opposed to if you just started directing your mental energy towards the things that are abundant in your life, like, things are going bad, but at least you have food, water, you got some good music going on in your room, like anything that you could think of that fits into this category, then the more you feed that, the more energy you put into the abundant thoughts, the abundant story, then the more your reticular activating system is going to look for things that fit into that abundance category. And as a result, you will just have more abundance in your life. If all you do is complain about your given situation, you can do actions that will, try to move you out of this situation, but at the end of the day, if as long as you're pouring energy into scarcity, your reticular activating system is not going to help you at all. Not going to help you. It's only going to look for more scarcity and more negativity. So if you want to be a more abundant person, if you want more opportunities in your life, all you got to do is just focus on the abundant things. It's really that easy. I'm serious. Because again, the reticular activating system, all it does is just listens to commands. It doesn't decide what would best serve my human. No. It just listens to whatever it's told. And if you're telling it something that aligns to scarcity, then it's going to look for more scarcity. It's that simple. It's really this simple. Which is why a lot of people say you have to have the thing that you want before you actually have it. It's because of this. Literally same reason. Your brain's not going to know what to look for. There was literally a famous study where they raised 2 separate groups of newborn kittens in 2 separate rooms. One room was full of horizontal lines on the walls, just black horizontal lines. The other room was filled with vertical black lines on the walls. And then once their brains fully developed, they released them into a room full of different kinds of objects, and what do you know? The kittens that were raised in the room with horizontal black lines could not see vertical objects. They were running into poles and things that were a vertical kind of shape. They were just running into shit. And same with the other group. The group of kittens that was raised in the vertical line room were running into solid objects that were wider and not lines. So your brain quite literally looks for what it's programmed to see. And if your brain is programmed to look for threats, scarcity, things to be afraid of, then it's only going to look for more of those things. And which is another reason why people say your reality, the universe, will show you the same lesson over and over again until you learn the lesson. This is why. This is literally why. Okay, there's one more thing I want to talk about in accordance to the reticular activating system while we're here, because I'd say it's pretty important as well. It's something that if you're not aware of it, it could totally fuck you over. So just bear with me for a second. So your reticular activating system, just as any part of the brain, it changes behavior under the influence of cortisol. And cortisol is a normal stress hormone that is in your body at all times. But when it's at extremely high amounts, like during exercise, or if you're extremely stressed for whatever reason, your reticular activating system basically enters what's called survival mode. And survival mode is not inherently a bad thing, but if you're not aware of it, then you, again, will suffer at the hands of it because you're not aware of what it's doing. For example, if I'm in the gym and I just drink a ton of caffeine and I'm lifting some weights, my brain is going to be in survival mode because, caffeine raises cortisol, plus I'm working out, raises cortisol. So there's a lot of cortisol flowing through my body right now. And as a result, my reticular activating system is going to scan for things that are tied to survival mode. And what does this look like? It looks like me worrying about stupid things for no reason, being even more stressed out over little minute things. Like if I dropped a weight or something, I'd be more inclined to be pissed off maybe. And in general, I'm not going to have as much conscious control over, what is my reticular activating system showing me in my reality. So in general, your brain is going to start scanning for threats, but since we live in such a society that, threats aren't really that relevant, Your brain's gonna basically look for, reasons to be stressed out because it's already stressed out, and who you currently are reinforces what your reticular activating system looks for. There you go. I just recommend you keep your caffeine intakes to a minimum, and when you're done with working out, I highly suggest you meditate for at least like 10 minutes. Yeah, that's going to completely down regulate your nervous system again, and you're going to get out of survival mode a lot faster, as if you, in comparison to if you did not meditate after you work out. And I also recommend ashwagandha. It's a supplement you can take that lowers your baseline cortisol levels, but I wouldn't recommend taking it in the morning because basically cortisol is involved in this, like, what's sort of known as like your wakefulness like timeline during the day. So your cortisol shoots up like right before you're about to wake up, and you wake up because of the cortisol response. And you want your cortisol in the morning to be high, so you purposely shoot it up so that it gets super high, and then it slowly goes down over the course of the day, and then you sleep. So I recommend ashwagandha towards the late afternoon or mid-afternoon so that you can actually have a high level of cortisol in the morning. So I do not recommend taking it first thing in the morning. There's a lot of other people that naturally have lower levels of cortisol, and if you're one of those people, I probably wouldn't take ashwagandha. And of course, just like go to your doctor and ask about ashwagandha, because I hear there's some people that do not reap the benefits as much as others, and it fucks up their cortisol like clock internal. Yeah, that's all I have for today. Please subscribe and look for more of these videos. I'm gonna release definitely more videos talking about the reticular activating system, because I think it's probably the most overpowered brain system to understand. But I will also release some on the limbic system, more on the default mode network, and probably a lot more on how people interact with you depending on your nervous system state and stuff like that. So if you want some of that, please give some support, because I need it. Or shall I say I appreciate it. How about that? Yeah, that's all.